الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون صدق الله العظيم. Honorable ulama kiram and my dear respected brothers and young friends, last week we discussed and we ended on the dialogue that the people of the town Al-Qaryah and the messengers had, where the people of the town started to blame the misfortune that had befall them. And ulama say that because of their disobedience and not accepting the words of the messengers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them a temporary affliction in the means of a drought, or possibly that they were starting to quarrel amongst themselves. So they saw this and they said that since the messengers have come, either the land which was fruitful, a life where they were living with comfort and ease, had turned into a town where there was difficulty, there was a drought. How many had left their lives, and people are quarreling. So they started to blame the messengers that you have brought this onto us. The messengers then politely told them that it is not us that are the cause of this. In fact, the real cause is the kufr that is with you. And until you remain stuck and staunch on this kufr, you will not come out of this so-called affliction and situation. Anyway, they went on to threaten the messengers, and they threatened them with severe punishment, so much so that they said, we will kill you, we will stone you to death. This news and this incident went beyond this city and started to go out to the edge of the cities. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then mentions that وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى, and there came a man rushing from the farthest part of the city. قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُوا الْمُرْسَلِينَ, and he said, O my people, follow the messengers. Who was this person? وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ. The Quran only mentions rajul. It gives no names or no specifics, because like I've mentioned previously, the benefits and the lessons in Surah Yasin are not dependent on the details. Nonetheless, Mufassirin have mentioned that this person was called Habib al-Najjar. Najjar means carpenter, and most of the Mufassirin say that he was a carpenter. And he happened to live on the edge of the city. So in the old days, there would be a wall around the city, and there'd be gates, and at night they would close the gates for safety. So he was living right by one of the gates. And the reason why he was living by the gates was that he was a leper. He had leprosy. He had a very serious illness. And leprosy is such an illness that it starts to eat on your body parts and etc. And smell starts to come out from your body, etc. So people start to dislike this, and they have they don't like this kind of a thing. So he decided to move out of the city, and he had a small hut or something, and he was living on the outskirts. It so happened that when Isa sent these messengers, or if they were messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we mentioned before, when they came, they entered by the city, and Habib al-Najjar was amongst the first few people that the messengers had a discussion with, and amongst the first few people that they gave da'wah and they invited towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's oneness and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's greatness, etc. That is Allah alone who is in charge, in power of giving life, taking life, giving death. He's the one who gives sustenance. He's the one that grants good health, etc. And they tried to call this Habib al-Najjar towards the deen of Islam, towards Iman, etc. Habib al-Najjar, like his community, like his people, was an idol worshipper, and he'd been worshipping idols for years. So when he heard the message, then he asked for some proofs, that show me proofs that you are correct and you are truthful. So the messengers must have showed him some proofs. Then he went on to tell them that I have this illness of leprosy. and I have exhausted all the efforts and medication, but there's been no cure, and it's been like this for years. So they told him that, and he said, I've been worshipping and I've been bowing and submitting to these idols for years. In some nations mentions for 70 years I've been doing this, and there's been no change. So they said that our Lord, our Allah, is the one who cures people. He's the one that gives health. He's the one that gives children. He's the one that gives everything. And if you believe in Him, if you accept Him, and you bring iman on Him, you will make dua, and He will be able to cure you. He's the most powerful, He's the all-powerful, and He will be able to cure you. So Habib al-Najjar said that I've been worshipping and I've been bowing to His idols and I've been praying to them to cure me for 70 years. They've not done anything. You're saying that it'll happen in one day. So he said, bring iman and check. So he was persuaded, and he had conviction that what they're saying is the truth. So he bought iman. So he was amongst the early people to bring iman on these messengers. He brought iman, and the messengers started to make dua. And they made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through His qudrat, He cured him straight away. He cured him in such a way that no traces of leprosy was left on his body. No trace of illness was left on his body. And this created very firm faith and belief inside Habib al-Najjar. Habib al-Najjar then decided to stay on the edge of the city, and whatever earnings he had, 50% of that he would spend in the path of Allah, and 50% he would keep for himself and his subordinates, his children, etc. And he would spend a lot of time in worship. So this was on the outside of the city, this was happening. Habib al-Najjar was worshipping. And in the city, the messengers were propagating, but the people of the city, they started going against the messengers until they gave open threats that we will kill you. So when the message reached Habib al-Najjar, straight away he ran. He ran to a city. The Quran says, وَجَارَجُمْ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ يَسْعَى. He came running. And ulama mentioned that as soon as he heard that the people of the town were plotting to kill the messengers, he suddenly rose and ran. And they said, why did he run? He ran for one of two reasons. Either out of compassion and mercy for his nation, that if they happen to harm the messengers, if they happen to kill the messengers, then there is nothing but doom their way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent divine destruction and divine punishment, which will make them become losers forever, eternal loss. So out of this compassion, I don't want them to lose, he ran to his people to tell them and warn them, what are you doing? You can't do this. Or secondly, that because he saw these pure souls, these messengers, and that the message that they were giving was so beneficial, was so beautiful, that it was pure and wholesome. So when somebody is giving such a beautiful message, and he had first-hand experience with them, he had love for the messengers. So out of this love, he ran. Okay, how can people kill these messengers? These people are such that you should be holding them in high esteem. They shouldn't be people that you want to stone to death. So ulama say one of these two reasons, either for mercy and compassion for his qawm, or out of love for these messengers, he ran to the city to tell them. And from these ayahs, ulama have deduced many important points. Number one, they say that min aqsal Medina, that waja'a min aqsal Madinati rajul, that he came from the farthest part of the city, that he came right from the edge of the city. Ulama say that from this it shows that the propagation of the messengers had reached all over the city. They didn't just sit in one area and do a bit of tabligh and said our job is done. In fact, they exerted so much effort that their message has reached everywhere. And there should be a jazbah inside all of us, that wherever I am, I want to spread this deen far and wide. When we have the jazbah, leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will accept us, He will make us a means of spreading this. But the jazbah should be there, that I want to be accepted for the khidmat of deen. I don't want just to be khidmat, I want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to use me far and wide. That through me, I want to be a means where many people come on hidayat. The second thing ulama mentioned is that from this we can understand that sometimes, or a lot of the times, usually the people on the outskirts, in those days were simple people, Bedouins, poor people. So usually what happens is, it's the simple people, the Bedouins, the poor people who accept khair first. They run to khair. That's why even in Rasulullah's time, when you look, the initial Sahabas were Hazrat Abu Bakr, etc., and the likes of Salman al-Farsi, the likes of Hazrat Bilal radiallahu anhu, etc., who were poor people. Why? Because poor people, when the haqq comes to them, when they see the haqq, then they don't have anything to have reservations of. They don't have second thoughts. If I accept this religion, and that means I might lose my position. I might be kicked out of the committee. I might be taken out from this organization, or I might lose this, or I might no longer I might not remain as an influential person. So the rich people, the people in the city, they're usually the rich people, so they have all these thoughts. So when Islam or anything truthful comes their way, they are very hesitant to accept. Whereas the poor people, the people on the outskirts, they have nothing to lose. When something hits their mind, and it says, it makes sense. The message he's giving us, he's giving a message of eternal happiness. He's giving a message of Jannat. He's giving us a message of believing Allah, the one who created us. Yes, we are making these idols with our own hands. Why should we worship something that we have created? In fact, we should be worshipping the being that created us, not something that we have worshipped, we have created. So these people, when the message hits their mind, then straight away they have no reservation. So from this, ulama say that these people straight away they accepted Islam. And it's usually the case that poor people, simple people, they accept easily. Whereas the rich, the affluent, the people with influence, they take some time to accept these messages. The other thing that is mentioned is that from this you can understand that he was on the edge of the city, yet he did not meet or see the messengers as much as the people of the city. The people of the city were meeting the messengers, they were giving their dawah and their propagation daily. Yet the benefit he got from standing outside of the city was much more than what they got from where they were. They were deprived of hidayat. They were deprived of hidayat. And this is a certain message, because Surah Yasin was revealed in Makkah. There's a certain message for the people of Makkah, that look, you mushriks of Makkah are living right next to Rasulullah. You see him, you see the way he walks, the way he talks, you see his manners, you see akhlaq. You are next to him, you are residing right in front of him. He is in front of you. Yet, what's happening? You have been deprived of his ni'mat, and the people of Ansar who are thousands of miles away, in Medina Munawwara, they are coming and they are taking benefit. And this usually happens sometimes, that within our locality, within our area, amongst us, there are people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted such ilm, such taqwa, such piety, but we don't give any worth to them. We don't give them value. We go miles away for other people. Or in fact, we don't even go anywhere. We don't even show them any honor or regard to them. We don't have time of the day for them. But other people from other towns, people from outside come and they take so much benefit. And when the time goes, then people lament and people have regret. Oh, and you know, there's such a big buzru, Sheikh Rahmatullah Ali. It mentioned as Sheikh Rahmatullah Ali that before he passed away, Hazrat Manzoor Nomani Rahmatullah, one of his Khalifas, Hazrat Manzoor Nomani Rahmatullah Ali, Khalif Hazrat Sajjad Nomani, who was in India at the moment, his father, he's a very pious person, very, very ilmi person. He wrote to Hazrat Sheikh Rahmatullah Ali, Hazrat, if you give me ijazat, if you give me permission, then I want to talk about your awsaf, so the people around here can take benefit from you. Because usually what happens is, when a buzruk, when a ahlullah, when a wali of Allah is amongst people, people don't take benefit from them. People don't sit in their company. People don't want to come and listen to them. And usually what happens, when this buzruk, when this ahlullah, when this friend of Allah leaves the world, leaves and goes into akhirat, into his qabr, then the people start lamenting, Kare, how do you know he's such a big buzruk? I missed out. I didn't take benefit from him. I should have gone to his majalis. So he said, Hazrat, if you give me ijazat, let me write a few things about your awsaf, so the people can become agan, become warned. You've got such a buzruk and such a person in our area that take benefit from it. Sheikh Rahmatullah. So he wrote back, and the same we wrote, Mauli Manzoor, na khatima ko aapko malum na mujhe malum. Na khatima ko ke baare mein aapko malum na mujhe malum. You are throwing about my awsaf ke jo bhi ho, I don't know how I'm going to live. And I don't know how I'm going to leave this world. I don't know how I'm going to die. If the khatima is not there, then what benefit is there? But this is Sheikh Amtu Tawazu. But from there we can understand that usually what happens is, Abu Zugs in the area, Abu Zugs in the town, Abu Zugs amongst us, but we don't take benefit from it. We don't take benefit from the majalis. We don't have time. And when they leave this world, when they go, then we start saying, is this his halat? He was in front of you, you take benefit. And when he goes, now what benefit are you going to take now? That's why for the lesson as well, that when there's a ni'mat amongst you, usually they say that the qadr of a ni'mat is after he's gone. A person will only realize the qadr of a ni'mat after he's gone. But the intelligent person at least takes some benefit. Usually majority of the people they start lamenting and start crying after their advertisement. What use is it now? That's why from this another point that we can take is that those people who are around, they come and take benefit. And we see amongst us that people from outside, people from different masajid, different localities, they come to our masjid to take benefit. And we don't take benefit. So this is something that we should keep into consideration. The other thing that ulama mentioned is that there are two very similar ayats. One ayat is in Surah Yasin, وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى. And in Surah Qasas, the same ayat but slight difference. وَجَاءَ رَجُلٌ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ يَسْعَى. The first ayat is regarding Habib al-Najjar, that he came running. So Allah mentioned that وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ. A person came from the farthest part of the city, a person came running. And Surah Qasas, the story is that a person came running from the farthest part. So what's the difference? Ulama said it's a very delicate difference. And this is especially for those people who are studying. Very delicate. What's the difference? That usually when the sifat is brought before the mawsuf. So rajulun min aqsal Medina. Min aqsal Medina is a sifat of the rajul. A rajul is a person. What kind of person is? He is a person who came from the distant, from the far land. So that from the farthest part of the city, there is the sifat. So usually when the sifat comes after the mawsuf. Usually you say rajulun karimun. Rajulun karimun. That the sifat, the attribute, that a very humble person, a very pious person. So the piety comes after person. But when the word piety is brought before the person, or in this case, when Aqsal Medina is brought before Rajul, what does it do? They say it shows afzaliyat. It shows virtue. Now, ulama say, what virtue is that? What's the difference between Habib al-Najjar and the person of Musa as-Salam? What happened in Musa as-Salam's story? Musa as-Salam was going, and there's two people are fighting, a Qibti and a person from Bani Israel, you're having a fight, and the Qibti person was oppressing the Bani Israel person, Musa as-Salam's person from the Musa's clan. Musa as-Salam called him and he went to hit him one. فَوَكَزَهُ Musa. فَوَكَزَهُ Musa فَقَضَى عَلَيْهِ. Musa as-Salam struck him, ek mukka lagaya, and he died. So he died, one punch and he died. Unintentionally, didn't go to. Then it happened the next day or a few days later, that same person was arguing from Bani Israel with that Qibti, he was arguing with another person. So this time Musa as-Salam said, it's your fault. Yes, one mukka, you killed him. So he ran, he started screaming. So people found out that Musa as-Salam was the one that killed that Qibti. Until now they didn't know. So the people, Fir'aun and his people started to do mashwara, kya karna hai? So that person, waja'a رجل مكسر مديتي رجل يس وجاء رجل مكسر مديتي يس قال يا موسى إن الملأ يأتمرون. He came with what news? He just came with news that, oh Musa, Fir'aun and his people are plotting to kill you. What did he come with? He came with news for Musa that Fir'aun and his people are plotting to kill you. News. Important news, but just news. And Habib al-Najjar, what did he come for? Ulama say he came not just for news, he came for amal bil ma'roof. He came to tell his people कि भाई आप जो कर रहे गलत है. I'anatul Rusul. He came to help the Rasuls. Number 3, An-Nasih. He came as a nasiyat karne wala. So he has more fazilat than that person because he only came to inform. Habib al-Najjar came running to do amal bil ma'roof. He came to help the Rasuls and he also came to give nasiyat. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ. And this Aqsa al-Madinah brings emphasis in Rajul. That's why ulama say. So this was another point that we can derive. And the last point that I want to mention was min aqsal madiyati, yes, that he came running. And again ulama say that as soon as Habib al-Najjar found out, okay, these people are plotting to kill the messengers, he came running. And they say he came running, why? Sur'atan, ja'a sari'an. He came running, why? Lil amri bil ma'roof wa nahy al munkar. For amal bil ma'roof wa nahy al munkar. This should be our case. That whenever we see something wrong in our locality, in the family, then we should have this jazba inside us. Okay, I need to fix this. This is galat. I need to sort this out. And Ghalib, if I'm right, I had our Mufti Sahib once mentioning in Fajr Talim that Hazrat Maulana Ilyas Rahmatullah used to say that those people who have these two qualities in their lives, Allah will make them Abdal. What's Abdal? Abdal is one of the close friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a wali of Allah. And he said, number 1, when he sees something munkar, when he sees something wrong, then he tries his utmost best to rectify that. He has this flame inside him. He has this urge inside him that does not stop, but I need to fix this. I will not sleep until this is sorted out, until this is rectified, until this is fixed. And number two, when he sees that a sunnah of Rasulullah has left the lives of people, he has this discomfort. He has this uneasiness. Okay, I need to bring the sunnah back in the people. I need to make the sunnah of Rasulullah alive again. Because whoever has these two sifat, Allah will make him abdal. So what do? Yes, he came running. So ulama say that when you see something wrong, then this should be adjusted by inside you. Whether it's in the family. And then the hadith, Rasul mentioned that man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyiru biyadihi. Whoever sees something wrong, then he should change it with his hands. He should rectify it. He should mend it with his hands. فَإِلَّمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِلِسَانِهِ. If he does not have the ability to do that, then he should use his tongue. He should say with his tongue, "Ab bhai, ab jo kar raha hai galat hai. Ye shaadi mein israf is galat. Ye naaz gana galat hai." Not just Allah unko hidayat de. No, try your best. Go and talk to them. Engage them. Ki bhai, aap kya kar rahe ho? Do you know what you're doing? And if you can't even do that, you are so overpowered by them. Then فَإِلَّمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِقَلْبِهِ. And if you can't even do that, then in your heart. What does it mean by in your heart? Not that you feel bad in your heart. This is not the correct meaning. Not that you feel bad in your heart. Because a believer should feel bad for every sin. If a believer does not feel bad for a sin, he sees someone consuming alcohol, he doesn't feel bad for that, then his iman is at risk. He's not taking guna as a guna. He doesn't have dislike for guna. What does it mean by for qalbi? It means for qalbi that he should have such a jazba in his heart. And ulama mentioned as a piece of example that imagine a person is tied against a pillar in his house, and a thief or thieves come into his house and they start ransacking his house, and on top of that they start to do misdeeds with the females, and he is tied on that pillar and he is watching them. What will he have in his heart? Allah, only if I can breathe. Allah, only if I can be off this, I will go and sort this out. Can he do it? He should have this feeling when he sees guna in it. And from this, ulama say that this hadith also shows you authority. That if you're a father, then then he should use his hands. He's bought a house and there's a TV screen in the house. So he didn't buy the TV screen, he's there. Or all of a sudden one day he comes from work and he sees that his children are watching movies, they are doing something wrong. Then he should have the courage that he uses his hands, he's a father. He has all the authority. He should be able to have courage to take that TV out. Okay, I don't want guna in my house. He sees his son using something wrong, something guna. He's got some cigarette, jo bhi ho. Then he should be such a person. As a father, he has authority over his children. You don't have authority over the next door's children, but over your own children you have authority. So what should you do? You should confiscate it. You should take it out. It's the wedding in your house, and your daughter wants to introduce music and mixing. I said, no, not in my house. Not in the wedding that's going to take place from my offspring, my children. No, I will not let this happen. What happens? Cha is my daughter. Kiya kari is her big day, her best day. Only time till Allah. No. As a father, you should be able to mend things. This is authority. If you can't do this, then for bilisani. Second part is with your tongue. So it's not your son. It's your next door neighbor's son. It's not your house. It's your relative's house. They're watching a movie. You can't go and smash that TV up. What's the least you can do? You eating food, and whilst you're eating food, you should be doing shukr of Allah and you're watching a movie. Astaghfirullah. What are you doing? Using your tongue. In the best possible way, Allah's giving you food and you're doing this. If you can't confiscate from your friend's son, but you can say, "Beta, Masha, your father's an alim, hafiz, and you're smoking. What's this? Usko phek do." You can't. So this is for bilisani. You see that in your relative's house, in the wedding, they are going beyond limits. Then you can't go and start breaking things up in the wedding hall. But what's the least you can do? You can tell them. You can call them. You can tell the seniors. Okay, bhai, you the senior in the house. Fulana, hamare rishdar mein se, he's planning on doing this. Aap unko samjhao. This is amal bil ma'ruf. And from this we can understand that Allah SWT mentioned in the Quran that through this amal, what amal? Running for amal bil ma'ruf. Look at the degree of qurbat he got from Allah SWT. This we can understand the benefit, and we should have this in our life. And if you can't do that, and it is all beyond your efforts, that at least make dua. At night, in the middle of the night, wake up and cry, Allah, I can't do anything. But Ya Allah, you have kamil kudrat. Ya Allah, you make changes. You make changes in people's life, in people's understanding, in people's ilm, etc. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the correct understanding. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to act upon what's been held. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Subhanallah.